Ray Highlands,
He left.
he left.
Sorry.
Oh, there he is. Do you know everybody on this call?
Do I? No, I
Yes.
bet half of them don't know me, so they're lucky.
Let's go around and do introductions then. Hey, Teresa, why don't you start?
I'm Teresa Crayley. I'm zone chair for 4B in York County, and this is my last year. My successor is Michelle Leffler, and she's going to be taking over for me July 1, unless she runs away.
Right after this training, I don't know. So I'm Michelle. I'm the current president of Shrewsbury Area Centennial Lions, about to be no longer president and be zone chair. So yeah, that's my deal.
Wonderful. Hey, Todd, why don't you do it next?
Okay, I'm Todd Baller. I'm zone chair for 1A, which is a couple of clubs in York County and 3 clubs in Adams County. I'm also secretary of the Hanover Club.
Great. Mike,
Hi, I'm Mike Venical. I'm zone chair of 2B. I've been zone chair for 3+ years, and I've been asked to do it another year, which I'm grateful for. And through this pandemic, I hope that we can get out and about.
that's great. I'm with you right there. Who am I missing, Dennis? Who else is on the call?
Doug's here, Doug Nace.
Doug. Doug, are you there?
Sure. So I'm Doug Nace with the Bro Community Lions Club. I'm coming in as zone chair for 4A. I served in 4A for about 6 years as zone chair before, so I was asked to come back in for the interim till we can find somebody else to take the place. So that's where I am right now.
And we all have to understand that Doug is in the Brogue, so there may be a bit of a transmission delay, and we may have problems there because they're still a little bit behind as far as their wireless capability or their internet capability. Although Doug may have like a satellite or something, yeah, all good.
Actually, the Broke had cable cable and internet before a lot of places did.
I wonder why that was. All right. And Marty's on, of course. Marty.
Hi. Yeah, I'm currently cabinet secretary, and based on the last election, I'm a second vice district governor elect.
Okay. And then I'm expecting to come in probably a little late, Jay Strout, who is a member of my club, the Arntsville Lions Club. He's going to be taking over for Bonnie Sowers in 1B. And he was a former member at Fairfield Lions Club. And he moved across the county a little bit and joined our club. So I'm hoping he'll be able to come in. He was on his way home from work, so he said he might try to get in with phone call initially, and then when he gets home, tune in. So I think that's going to be everybody that we have on tonight. So,
Yeah, I didn't say who I was. I apologize, Dennis.
Oh, okay. Well, how about the lovely young lady beside you?
My name's Laura Armold. I'm actually the vice president of the Carlisle Lions, so I get to deal with that all the time. And on top of it, I also do our marketing and communication leadership chair. So
very good.
And I'm Ray Highlands. I'm the president of the Carlisle Club. And I come to all these trainings because I have no life.
Trying to get yourself up to speed and informed. That's great.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate certainly everybody taking time out of their week and their evening to join us. We are going to go through here, get the screen up, and get started with the session. Both Dan and I will be doing portions of this. I'm going to get us started and we have 5 overarching objectives here tonight. All right, we're going to just spend probably about 2 minutes talking about the role of the zone chairperson. That's just a very brief, role kind of thing. And then we're going to spend a fair bit more time on the actual responsibilities. So the role is kind of like where you fit in the organization. The responsibilities is more or less what you do. All right. We're going to talk about where you can go to identify some resources or find some resources to help you with your position. That's going to be my part of the presentation. And then Governor-elect Dan is going to take over with his goals for the upcoming year, as well as some of his expectations for you as zone chairs in the upcoming year. Of course, those expectations are all going to relate to your general responsibilities, but they'll be more specific to 14C. So that's the plan of action for tonight, and we're going to go ahead. So as far as the role of zone chair, as I said, when I was finishing my teaching career, we were big into the essential question of the lesson or the unit. So the essential question for right now is, how does the zone chair fit into the organizational structure of Lions Club? So that's not too hard, really. Basically, you are the link between your clubs and the district. You're kind of a facilitator role there to help communication flow back and forth between the club and the district. So yes, the district has initiatives going on, like we mentioned a minute ago. We're going to be talking about the district goals and that kind of thing. So part of your role is to get that information down to the club level and work to get buy-in from your clubs into working together with the other clubs, not just in your zone, but in the district, and moving the district forward with initiatives. But even more important, in my opinion, is for you to find for your clubs what they need and communicate up to the district level. What are the needs within your clubs in your zone, and what can we do to support those clubs to help them be successful? You can see I have a link down here at the bottom of the page. When I send out, I'm planning to send out the actual PowerPoint. That'll be a link to cabinet structure, which we're going to look at in a minute. So I do have these links so that they're a little bit easier for you to get to. The other key role that you play is as a member of the Global Action Team. The Global Action Team, or as we typically have been referring to it, the GAT, is a fairly new structure that Lions put in place about 3 or 4 years ago. Initially, it started off with just membership and leadership, and that was kind of the first year. And the second year, they expanded with service. So it's three things. I don't know if you can see that emblem that's there on the side of the page, but it's leadership, membership, and service all working together. The GAT is not the cabinet necessarily, but it very much mirrors the cabinet because it includes the district governor as the chairperson, and then the zone chairs are members of that team. The other essential people are the global leadership chairperson, the global membership chairperson, and the global service chairperson. Next year, the leadership chairperson will be Galen Burkholder. The membership is Lisa Griffey, and the service is Past District Governor Steve Shipman. So the idea with the Global Action Team is that's the team that really moves, as it says, action. It moves the district forward in terms of completing the goals and keeping the district on track towards providing more service overall and recruiting members and developing leadership within. The three things kind of work together. They're not their own islands. They're really a cooperative effort because we know how all those things tie. We can't do service without having members to do the service, and we can't provide service activities unless we have leaders to plan and organize those service projects. And we need leaders to plan and work on membership drives and membership the more members we have, the more chance we can find good leaders in that. So they're all interrelated. If we look at this on a, hang on a second. There we go. This is the district cabinet structure based on the district constitution and bylaws. So it's just like an organizational flow chart that shows you how the district is organized. And you can see that the cabinet and the officers, as a zone chairperson, you are one of the officers of the district. You're an appointed officer by the district governor, and you have voting privileges on the district cabinet. And you can also see the way this is structured, that anything in those purple ovals is part of the global action team. So you are a critical member of the district hierarchy and staff in terms of getting things done in the district. The global action team is implemented. That structure with the GLT, GMT, and GST is at all levels of Lions at this point. And so we have people at not just the district level, but at the multiple district level, at our constitutional area level, and then as far as the whole international board, there are people there. Ideally, we can get this structure down to the club level, but that hasn't happened too much at this point. So that might be one thing that you want to keep working with your local clubs on. A lot of our clubs have not looked at those kinds of structures in recent years. I know Lion Ray just recently redid their constitution and bylaws. And Ray, I don't know if you want to comment if that was kind of a little surprise when you looked at the structure that was in the standard constitution and bylaws and saw that those positions were in there or not. Do you want to comment?
Well, I noticed that, but one thing I will tell everybody is, one, look at what they put in and try to make it fit your club. So we need to take care of the committee places, but we also need to make sure that, we've got a small club we're trying to rebuild, so I didn't have a lot of people to search from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the same in our club, we've kind of doubled up those roles. So we might have a vice president who's also in charge, who's a GLT, and a director who's in charge of membership. So we've doubled up that kind of thing. So that's just the overview of the role, where you fit in the organization. Does anybody have any questions about that aspect of it? Nothing? Okay, I'm glad I was so clear with that.
Well,
All
I
right.
would
Go ahead,
just,
Dan.
I would just say to people that, think about it right now. And if something's not clear, or if you have questions or something to add, jump in. That's the way this is set up, so that people can participate throughout the discussion. So just my 2 cents.
Yep. And this next part is where we're really going to count on maybe our experienced zone chairs to chime in on these different responsibilities that the zone chair has, and what they're supposed to do according to the Constitution and bylaws anyways. Our constitution, our district constitution and bylaws specifically lists 14 responsibilities for the zone chair, and each of them's an important part, but maybe some you're going to find and you're going to emphasize more than others. That's just natural to happen, but they all have a role. And I would really like to hear from some of our zone chairs, our current zone chairs. And Doug, like you've had experience in the past, you might be able to do a little bit compare and contrast as to how this is any different from when you were last served in the role, which was 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
Oh, yes, 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. All right. So we're going to go through these. In the bylaws, Section 10 is where it talks about the zone chairperson. And it reiterates here what the role is. You're sort of the chief administrative officer in your zone, and you're also a member of the district global action team. And then it goes on to these 14 different responsibilities. So let's look at the first one. All right. It says to further the purposes of this association. All right. So that's a pretty broad statement. You know, you're kind of a cheerleader, but also a facilitator for making things happen and making sure that everything that happens in your zone or the activities of your zone are helping further the purpose of the association and not working to its detriment. Purposes of the association, I think you can find those in our, I'm looking, oh, here we go, our handbook. Yep. We have the code of ethics in the front, but in the back, it has our mission statement and mission and vision statements. So, and the Constitution and bylaws also has at the beginning a list of those, the purpose of our organization. So that's the first one. Second one, getting into more nuts and bolts kinds of things. You know, you chair what's called the District Governor's Advisory Committee for your area, more fondly known as the zone meeting. All right. And so you're going to have regular meetings there. Dan's going to talk about that a little bit more, but the guidance is to have at least 3 meetings, perhaps 4 meetings with the leaders of the clubs in your zone, typically the president and the secretary of each club. Ideally, you have those 2 attending your meetings and coming in to discuss things that are going on in the zone, you know, and this is where you can have those discussions about what your clubs need from the district, and you communicate with those leaders what's going on at the district level and how their clubs can support those efforts. All right. There is a document called the Model District Governors Advisory Committee Meetings. I have that linked. That'll be one of the resources that's listed later on, but that lays out sort of what should be the focus, or what LCI recommends is the focus for each of the first 3 zone meetings. And no surprise, those 3 zone meetings center around the 3 areas of the GAT: service, leadership, and membership. So it's an opportunity to have some in-depth discussion about each of those areas and what the needs are and what the district's trying to do to support those areas. Anybody want to comment on that responsibility as far as being your zone chair or the leader of the zone meetings?
Question.
Go ahead.
I'm directing this question at Teresa. How often does your zone meet?
Every time the district governor has a cabinet meeting, I have a zone meeting immediately thereafter, if not that week, the next week, to be able to bring everything down to them. So we'll meet the 3 times after the district governor meets, has his meeting, and then cabinet meeting. And then we also have a special there. I leave a special meeting in there in case for the zone social that we need to meet to do that if we have any tied stuff that we need to take care of. And then I also have at the very end in April, I have a picnic for the presidents and secretaries that are current and the presidents and secretaries that are coming in, for everyone to meet everyone, to talk about what's going on so they know what the new advisory board's going to look like. And we go through a lot of different things. I collect information from them at that point so that I'm ready for the following year.
Okay, I just get the feeling sometimes like you're meeting every month sometimes from the reports I at GAT meetings, and I was just curious.
No, the only reason you feel that way is because I started up a Facebook page and I encouraged each of my clubs to stay in contact with me constantly with all their newsletters, all their stuff going on. So I am in contact with them every single month.
Okay,
So yes, I do talk with them every month, but we don't have an actual sit down meeting except after the district governor's cabinet meetings. But that's solely up to you, honey, how it works for your people.
okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Governor-elect Dan is going to provide a little bit more guidance in his section there as far as what, you know, for you as far as what his expectations are with some of those meetings. I will say too, just going back to the GAT, I don't think I said it, but we do have, most months, we have a meeting of the Global Action Team, not every month, but most months we do, and it's usually the second Saturday of the month. So, you know, right now you can go ahead and go down your calendar, at least reserve that. It's usually in the morning. You know, exactly where and what time it'll be, I'm not sure, although I think we talked about a different location in, what, a little bit west of Abbottstown or east of Abbottstown, I think, Dan, didn't we? Yeah,
Yeah.
a restaurant that is offering us a room to meet in. And so, but you know, that information will come out. The main thing is that you get that on your calendar for now. Okay. Let's go here. Next one, next responsibility. Well, that's kind of ties in with the GAT. At your meetings, at your zone advisory meetings, depending on what the topic is or the main focus of that meeting, we encourage you to include the district GMT, the district GLT, and or the district GST as guests so they can, your club leaders can hear directly from those people what the initiatives are and what we're trying to do. You may also invite the vice district governors and the district governor. They should know when your meetings are. Ideally, we'll get those dates. We'll have those dates well in advance and can put them in the directory. So start to plan those out now. I think, Dan, are you going to provide the dates that we'll have to provide them the dates of the cabinet meetings first, and then they can plan their advisory meetings around that. Because as Teresa said, ideally your advisory meeting is after the cabinet meeting, so that any information that comes out to the clubs or comes out at the cabinet meeting can be passed on to your clubs at the advisory meeting. So it's nice to have those people in. I know as a vice district governor, I really appreciated just going and listening. But you know, we don't have to have a role in the meeting necessarily, but it's nice for us to know and be able to just learn and get to know the leaders of the different clubs. It makes it so much easier when we come in for a governor visit or whatever, if we have a few familiar faces and people that we've met and talked to already. So I encourage you to include those people. Any comments on that responsibility?
I also find that bringing in the LCIF chair, I've brought him in several times with the bridging. You have to be current with the bridging of the lionesses. I have 3 in my zone. It was really great to have the lioness chair, which is Deb McKnight. Just bringing in people that have current issues and things that are important to talk about.
Yeah, that's a great point. We have a number of district chairpersons for special causes. So absolutely include them in your meetings. Anybody else? Okay. 4th responsibility is reporting what happens at your meetings to the governor and also to the different chairperson or the GLT, the GMT, and GST. In other words, just keeping the information flowing. Again, Dan's going to give you a little bit more detail on what he would like to see reported and how. Ideally, the sooner you can report that, the better. But you also have the opportunity to to keep in contact through the GAT, the monthly GAT meetings as to what's happening. Okay, that is pretty self-evident. The fifth one in the Constitution bylaw says is to promote the club quality initiative, and it talks about that tool by name on the LCI website. There is a page called the Club Quality Resource page. So that is linked here, and the Club Quality Initiative document and information is on that, is listed on there. We're going to look at that when we talk more about the resources. But the idea here is that you are engaging with your clubs on how they can improve the membership experience for at the club level for members of the club, which ultimately helps with retention of members as well as attracting new members. So those are it's a great resource for your clubs to do, and for them to do some self-evaluation of their club and get ideas. That tool kind of guides them through a process. Has anybody used that document? Any of the zone chairs, have you had experience with that document at all?
No, it's nice to know it's out there, though.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't know either.
It's in a handbook.
Yeah.
I attempted to, when I was president of my club in Stewartstown a few years ago, I attempted to use it. But you know, it was kind of an initial attempt, and you know, I lacked the follow through to do it. But again, it's a tool that, as you said, something that I'm going to look at in the workshop coming up in a few weeks, is looking at all the assessment tools that are out there that really can give you data, feedback, and information that, you know, if you're making any plans, it's critical. It's you can't make assumptions. I think so often we, you know, get an anecdote, somebody tells us one thing, and then we go off in a tangent to address something that may or may not even be an issue, because we don't, you know, take the time to organize and collect the data in a systematic way. So I'm hoping to, you know, try to nudge people in that direction. And, you know, in the concept of moving forward is, you know, part of it is assessing where we are, but using some of the tools that are out there. There's multiple ones out there that are, you know, quite helpful. But again, it's going to take time to change and get people on board to look at those things. But
Yeah,
I'll
one
be
of
looking-
the
yeah,
challenges we face is inertia. You know, our clubs are kind of, many of them are kind of complacent. They're just comfortable with where they're at, but they don't realize that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward, basically. You know, you just you know, if you're not out there continually trying to reach out and adapt to changing dynamics or whatever, you know, things aren't going to move forward. Things aren't going to continue to, your club isn't going to continue to evolve and grow. So, so these are kind of tools that will help with that type of thing. All right, next responsibility is working with the GMT to either organize new clubs or keep the activities or keep informed of the activities and the well-being of the club. All right. So, yeah, first and foremost is, you know, maintenance of the current clubs that you have in your zone, making sure that they're engaging their members, they're doing service, they're supporting their service projects with fundraisers that they need. You know, bringing them all kinds of ideas as best you can to keep them active and moving forward, which has been an incredible challenge for all of you during the last year.
Yep.
It just hasn't been a good year to do that. We all know that. So you're going to have an extra challenge of kind of reigniting and getting your clubs moving again. Like I said, that inertia, you got to get the ball moving so that you know, it gets back in motion and stays in motion. The membership coordinator, past District Governor Lisa is going to be talking with you and spoke at our last GAT about plans for trying to establish some new clubs. It's always an ongoing effort, and in your zone, we're looking to you as zone leaders to identify potential areas that are underserved, that where a new club could bring some service to an area where we have unmet needs that are beyond the scope of a club that's already existing. So these are things to keep in mind as far as working with the GMT. Any comments on that one? I know that's
Just
a
one
tough
thing I'd
one.
like to say, about a year ago, I had one club that folded on me and wasn't given information what was going on. And it was New Cumberland. And once I saw their newsletter they had took on 2 or 3 new members. And the club folded, and they probably had about 12 members. And I would like help in some way to try to get that club back to, a club again.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, we've visited there on district governors visitations and things like that. And they commented they were too old. It's them running the fundraisers and things like that. But they never reached out for help and checking on them. It seemed like they were fine. And for them to fold on us, it's like, I wish that there was a way that we can get a, New Cumberland's Lions Club again.
We had York Township, and they were just refused any help whatsoever. And I knew they were a men's club. So what I tried to do is get someone else to facilitate that, just trying everything I could. What ended up happening, Mike, when they folded, Downtown had to pick up their entire area. So when one folds, the rest of the Lions around the area are now even stretched even thinner. So
Our president or secretary of the Mechanicsburg Club sent them all an email and to invite them to our club, but no one responded. And I wish there was a way, even some of the people that I got to meet there, I wish there was a way I can contact them, talk to them, and try to get that club started back up again. I mean, they had a small club, but still, there was potentials for new members, and that kind of resource is out there. But it's the again, I was just like down because they closed.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the toughest days.
Yeah, that's always tough to lose those clubs. And I think you're right, Mike. There's a lot of potential in that area, whether it's whether it's reborn as the New Cumberland Lions Club or some other variation of that. But that's, to me, that's an area that's ripe for development. There is an unserved area there. Camp Hill covers an area. You folks in Mechanicsburg cover an area, but there still seems to be a hole there. There's a good population core there. So I think that's something that that we should really look at. We can pull up. I think, Mike, I could pull up some information for you as far as the last contact information we had for those club members, if you want me to do that.
That'd be great. I mean, just to see if we can start it back up somehow again.
Yeah.
And as far, past District Governor Steve Shipman had spoken to, I think, the president's wife. I guess the president, I can't think of his name. He passed away. And
I think you're talking about the secretary.
The secretary.
Brad Burt.
Yeah, Bradley Burt, yes.
Yeah.
He passed away, and I spoken to Marty, his wife. All the money they had, they broke it down. They gave certain organization's money, but what happened to the banner? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And you would think they would have handed that in, but even though the banner still stands and we have that and try to get the club started again, I'd be happy to try to go through resources to try to do it again,
Mhm.
because that club has been around for a while.
Yes, yes. And I think that they are exemplar or an example of the real need in our clubs to continue to develop leadership. You know, a lot of our clubs, like that club, are dependent on one or two members to carry the leadership burden, so to speak. Maybe that's not the right word, but you know, Brad was the secretary and the glue that held that club together. And when he got sick, you know, the club just struggled. His wife joined just for the point, just to support him and be able to assist him in doing that. But
Right.
you know, then Brad eventually passed away, and you know, it just goes apart. So this idea of the leadership team and developing new leaders, whether it's at the club level, you know, zone level, district level, we have to keep trying to do that, and we need to keep looking for members who have leadership ability, management, executive management skills, so that we can continue that. So just be on the lookout for that as you meet with your clubs and discuss things. You know, what is the state of their leadership? Is it the same president for 10 consecutive years, or are they successful in having a new president each year? You know, our stronger clubs, they rotate through their presidents, and a lot of the clubs do keep the same secretary from year to year, but we have been seeing some turnover in secretaries. Treasurer, kind of the same, but really that, you know, I think in the president role, if you're engaging, you know, everybody's kind of taking their turn, that's a sign that your club is the club is a little bit healthier than if they have the same officers year after year.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
Two things, because you all were talking, I noticed two things I wanted to bring up. Mike mentioned about the age of the members. Well, other than my daughter sitting here, I'm the youngest member of my club. My average age of my club is 80 some years old of the members. The other thing is a lot of clubs are taken for granted that they're known. I mean, I'm in the Carlisle area. We've got a good fan base to build a strong club. I have 16 members as of I sit right here, right now, building it back. But for years, we took for granted that we were known in the community, and we are, but we're not. And the other thing I want to throw on Dennis is, as a zone chair, and I know I'm not yet, but as a zone chair, be careful of the clubs that are rotating officers, but nothing's happening. Carlisle was that way. We were rotating officers, and we've had people that have held the job 2, 3, 4 times, but they were not, and I love them to death, but they were not accomplishing much in the way of growing the club. And the one thing that I've said to my club, when was the last time you spoke to somebody and said something about Lions outside a Lions meeting? So just some thoughts on it for you. I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, that's fine. I think those are excellent points to make here. And those are the kinds of things we've been discussing with our with past district governor Lisa in terms of our membership goals. And you're going to see some things there when Dan goes through his goals in a few minutes. So yeah, keep that in mind and see what you think of the goals when we get there.
Just so you know, if you see us laughing, it has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has to do with the dog in the background ringing the bell saying, "I want out."
Wow, what a well-trained dog.
Well, the only problem is it's been ringing about every 20 minutes all day.
Okay. So kind of in line with what we were just saying with leadership, you know, you want to work with the district leadership coordinator to keep your clubs informed of what is happening at the district level to support those leaders and what resources are available to support the leadership of your club. I feel like District 14C has really stepped up its game in the last several years by providing trainings and seminars like this for the club leaders. And we're really pleased to see the involvement of folks like yourselves tuning into these trainings. You know, maybe this was a little bit of a gift of the pandemic, that we decided to utilize these tools like Zoom, so it was more convenient to come to a training like this instead of having to drive on a Saturday morning someplace, you know, a half an hour or an hour to sit in a training. This really has, I think, helped us engage more people, and it's the kind of thing we have to do. But we also need to know, are we meeting the needs of the leaders in our clubs, and is there more that we can do? That's kind of why we're testing out the tail twister role next week, and providing that, and we're trying to give you folks some more support, better support than what we have in the past, in helping you do your job. Anybody else want to comment there?
One of the hardest things, I think, for me, I had decided only on 3 years as zone chair, but one of the reasons is I truly feel that people need to move up and try different things, become more involved in the district, and get more involved at their zone and other levels. So you have to step back and let others, but then once they do, support them and be there for them and give them all the tools that they need to succeed.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's true at the zone level, the zone chair level position. That it's the same way in the clubs, you know. Try to encourage other people in your clubs, and sometimes just step back and say, you know, it's time for somebody else. That's really hard at the club level, especially in our smaller clubs. But yeah, thank you, Teresa.
But
Anybody?
another part of that too is that by stepping back, you also give yourself a chance to recharge a little bit too. And you're
Yes.
caring for yourself so that you don't, you know, exhaust yourself or get so
Burnout.
frustrated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great point. Great
I
point.
will say I did that this year, and some of the people in my club don't like me right now because I flat out sent an email to my board members when we couldn't get anybody to step up to the president role. And I just told them, I said, July 1st, I will be zone chair. My last day as president is June 30th. If one of you do not step up, then our club will cease to exist. They thought it was harsh, but I have a president, a first vice president, and a second vice president lined up. And
Yep.
since we have officers for 2 years, I have the next 6 years covered. So they don't like me, but I got the job done, and we've got the next 3 presidents in line. So,
That's great.
and I don't have to do it.
Yeah, that's
We
good.
like you, Michelle. We like you.
Yeah.
We love you, Michelle.
We'll be your new best friends.
Yeah, because right now my club's not my best friends.
Yeah, but I think they'll get over it, you know.
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
They just thought it was harsh, and they're like, "How can you say that?" And I was like, "Well, somebody has to do it."
Yeah, yeah. Everybody has a role in this club, you know, has a role in helping the club. So, yeah, stick with your guns there, right? And that's not always easy. Not always easy to do, but you know, you can use some creativity with that too. You know, we have the One Lioness Club that's converting, and Teresa, you can talk to this, but they've been functioning with co-presidents for a number of years, I believe. Is that right, Teresa?
Yeah, they did again this year.
Yeah.
We just last night was the last night for District Governor Tom visitations, and we visited Jacobus Lionesses, and Team Gale has retired now. It will be at the end of June, and Sue Ayers and Patty Barkman are going to be stepping up. So they got a new treasurer. They got everything. They were excited. They're excited for their new role.
I think Team Gale was in place when I was governor, so that's at least 4 years that they were probably in place.
Well, I think they were supposed to be in for two, because my Lions Club, you learn the first year and then you succeed the second year.
Yeah.
So we all kind of do our roles for 2 years, and they were in at least 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another creative idea. Some clubs are going to that where they essentially do 2-year terms. It's kind of the understanding. Technically, you're supposed to have an election every year and re-put them in or whatever. But you know, people doing that understanding. And Michelle, I think you referenced that too, that your people are going to serve 2 years. Did I understand that right?
Yes, we're 2 years. We've been 2 years our whole existence.
Oh,
So
okay.
we figure it works for us. Why change it?
Yeah. All 4 years of your existence.
All 4 years of our existence.
Okay. Good. All right, next one. We did the GLMT, the GLT, and now the GST. This is the person, your resource person to go to for ideas on keeping your clubs engaged with service. And really, you want to encourage your clubs to be out there with hands-on service. And service and fundraising are two different things. Sometimes they intersect. Yes, that's true. You can have a fundraiser that also provides a service. So I'm thinking like New Freedom has their carnival. That's a service to the community, but it's also a big fundraiser for them. You know, hopefully your club does more service than just being fundraiser for other nonprofit organizations. I'm not putting that down. That's great to give money away, but it's also, I think, important for your members to see what they're contributing. You know, when they clean up a park, when they clean up the roadside, when they help some neighbors who have something, when they do vision screenings and see and find kids who need assistance. Those kinds of things are very rewarding when you have that. So we encourage your clubs to tap in and participate or have a service project related to one or more of our global causes. And you can see I have the global cause webpage there, a link to that. That'll give you information about the 5 global causes of Lions: the vision, hunger, environment, diabetes, and childhood cancer. So those areas are those are areas, good starting points for your service projects. And the GST is kind of your district resource person to help you focus and get ideas with that. Any comments there?
One of the things I think that a zone chair is crucial for, in my area anyway, was getting everyone to send me what it is they're doing so that we can share it and we can work together. And after 3 years of being zone chair, Michelle just had an event that 4 out of all of the Lions clubs we have in our zone actually worked together on having it was called a yard sale, but it really, everybody was collecting for their own purpose, trying to get out there and let the community know what Lions are about. And it brought Marty and his Stewartstown Lions, it brought the New Freedom Lions, Dowstown, and Shrewsbury together, and we worked together as a unit. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, great. And that's another key here. Encourage your clubs to reach out and work with one another, especially your smaller clubs. You know, so you can do more service with more hands. So combine on those efforts and or reach it with partner with other service organizations in your community. That might be a way to go too. You've got the same objectives. Why not work together on them? Okay. Next responsibility is you're your club's representative, or you want to encourage your clubs to come to. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. You are your club's representative, or you represent your clubs if there are problems that go up to the other levels, or that need to be addressed at the district level and multiple district. We really haven't had we've had very little, if any, of that kind of thing that has been a problem, but we have had a couple of things there. So, you know, you are the closest official basically to your club. So you have a role to play in that if problems arise. Another of your responsibilities is supervising the progress of, you know, things that are going on at the district, multiple district and Lions International in your zone. So you're making sure your clubs are aware of what these initiatives are. And, you know, you're, again, I think I used the word cheerleader or advocate. You're the person who brings them back and encourages your clubs to become involved in, you know, as many of those initiatives as they can. You know, you have to kind of read the room sometimes, and you have to know what the limitations are. But, you know, when there's, like we just talked about with the global service areas, if you have a club that's kind of stagnant, you know, why not encourage them to get involved with vision screenings? That's pretty easy. Or have them get involved with, you know, some kind of a diabetes awareness for their community. Some things, there's tons of ideas out there that are available on the LCI website. It's just a matter of accessing those things. Okay, we've got, I think we have Jay coming into the room. I just admitted, so hopefully he'll be logged on here with his phone. All right, next, you want your clubs to obviously be operating under the guidelines of the standard club constitution and bylaws. Most of our clubs, well, I shouldn't say most, but I'm going to bet that most of the clubs do not formally have their own constitution and bylaws written that's up to date and consistent with the standard form club constitution and bylaws. But they, you know, they basically fall under those club constitution bylaws unless they have formally adopted their own constitution and bylaws, similar to what the Lion Rays Club has just gone through. But if a club does that, those bylaws, that constitution and bylaws still have to be in line. They can't be, they can't be in conflict with the standard club bylaws from LCI. So, you know, we know the basics things. In other words, they can't be going out and having parties for their club members on project funds or something, you know, blatant like that. So just be aware of what's going on.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing is when you put them together, there's certain leeways you have. As an example, we sit down and figured which ones were going to be elected positions and actually board members, and
Yes.
which ones were going to be appointed by the president or the board, depending on what's necessary, but we're non-voting members of the board.
Uh-huh.
So you have to look at that in particular. The other thing is when you take the template from international, I will tell you if you have any background in using Word, it is not user-friendly.
No, it's not.
So if you would like a user-friendly version, let me know. I'm not afraid to share ours, because if you find something wrong with it, that's fine with me. That means it needs fixed. The other thing is, as an example of our club, we came in 1933. Nobody could find an old copy of our constitution or bylaws. So the issue that it comes in is, I know we fall under international, but I've been in organizations that don't have constitution and bylaws, and it becomes a challenge if you have any issues whatsoever, or if you're challenged on something you've spent. So that's one of the reasons I pushed so hard to get ours redone this year.
Yeah.
So if anybody has anything on that, let me know.
Yeah, thank you for that. I will let you know that constitution and bylaws almost every year has some little change to it. The international republishes that every year. So after the international convention, so we have in our binder a reference to that, and we try to distribute that out, but I encourage you to go into the LCI website and download the most recent one after the international convention, so you can keep up to date with the changes.
Yeah,
what we've been working on in our club is instead of like rewriting the bylaw, we just use that as the basis, and then we're slowly trying to put together some club policies and procedures that are kind of an addendum to that define those things. Jay, are you with us? Are you hearing us? You might be.
Yeah, I'm on, Dennis.
Okay, good. Jay can testify that it's been kind of a tedious process for us, especially our last meeting.
Yeah,
So it's just not an easy process to get through, but it takes some time and tenacity to do. But something you might
Hey,
want to.
Dennis,
Yeah.
the other thing, if you look at the international constitution and bylaws and you adopt it, there is certain things that by international rules you're supposed to do as a club each year.
Yes.
You're supposed to vote on your annual dues and your annual fines annually at your annual meeting. Oh, and that annual meeting is the day you're also supposed to install your officers. There's all sorts of little things like that that are required that I can tell you Carlisle wasn't doing prior to this year. So,
Yeah.
and it took us almost, what was it? 7-8 months
Yeah.
to actually go from the international version to a voted on approved version for our club.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Wow, I congratulate you on it because I know what it's like to do that. Okay, we're gonna keep moving here. Try to get your clubs, again, and this is part of developing leadership and broader understanding of the organization, but try to get people from your clubs attending things outside of their clubs, Lions events outside of their clubs, particularly starting at the zone meetings. That's your first step to get them there. But then if you can get them to district convention, even a multiple district convention, especially when they're close by. For example, we're going to have a state council meeting. Our district will be hosting a state council meeting in February. So that's a great time just for Lions to come out and see, well, what is a state council meeting? What happens? Kind of thing, just so they have a little bit better understanding. That's important to get people through that. And I'm going to speed up a little bit here, folks. Let me get through the rest of these. There's just a couple more because I don't want to take too much time from Dan here. You should make at least one visit to each of your clubs each year, particularly when the district governor is there. Ideally, you will visit each club twice, like once in the first half of the year and once in the second half of the year. So Dan will be sending out his schedule and you can coordinate your schedule for club visits based on that. And then, of course, there's always the other duties as assigned kind of in the job description lingo, right? So those are the things that are spelled out in the district constitution and bylaws as the responsibilities of the chairperson. In terms of resources, I can do this pretty quick. Where can you find it? Well, there's a page which is not easy to find on the LCI website called the Resource Center for Zone Chairs. This slideshow is actually the base of this slideshow is a zone chair. It's the first of 4 zone chair training sessions that LCI put together, and I've modified it for our purposes. So this is kind of the overview one, but this is the page they referenced, and I have it linked here for you so that it's easy for you to get to. Otherwise, I don't know how you would find it. But on this page, there are 6 resources listed under governance, and they're all linked to specific documents or whatever. And there's 3 documents about structures. There's one about district resources, different reports, zone meetings, trainings, the whole list down through there. So when I click on this, and this is going to hopefully take me to that web page. And hopefully you guys are seeing this. There we
Yeah.
go. All right. So that's the page
Yeah.
that it'll link to. And this document, this Zone Chair ebook, Dan will talk about that in a minute, but that's a wonderful resource. The learning map, that didn't do a whole lot for me, but here's that zone advisory meeting guide that we had. And then below that here are these different categories of resources. And each of these is hyperlinked. So when you click, there's your multiple district bylaws. There's your club bylaws that Ray was just talking about. You can get to the international bylaws. All right. So different things here. Zone meetings. Here's your advisory meeting. There's your checklist to get ready. You know, ideas on minutes, evaluation, challenges and opportunities worksheet. Dan's going to talk about that too. So as far as I know, this is here. Here's club officer documents, club quality initiative, your club, your way. You know, those are the things in here. Grant opportunities. So this is a great page to have kind of bookmarked that you can go back to and look at with that. And you'll have a link to that when I send out your you know, what do I want to say? When I send out the slideshow, you will have that. Okay, so we're back here. And I think one of your best resources, of course, is your peers. When Dan and I started as zone chairs together, he and I and Lionel Deal, we were comparing agendas for our zone meetings from the very start. And Al had the benefit of past district governor John Parker, who mentored him through that. And so we worked together and used each other's agendas to plan our meetings, and it really worked out well. And the GAT has only enhanced that, where you're able to sit down and share with your other zone chairs. So use your peers for that, your respected past district governor, somebody you connect well with, or past zone chair. They are great resources for you. All right, so that's my portion. Any quick questions before I turn this over to Dan? Okay, Dan, take over.
Thank you, Dennis. I don't know, folks, what you thought, but I thought he just did a fabulous job with that. I mean, he gave you a quick review of what the basics are, and Dennis, I thought you did a wonderful job. That's great.
Thank you.
I want to say thanks to everybody that's on the line. Thanks that you will serve this year, serve with me as we attempt to help our district be as successful as we can be in every area. So thanks to you for serving with me to be as successful as we possibly can be. We'll in the following pages, you're gonna see kind of look at what we're working at here. So we're going to start with district goals for 2021-22. And Dennis, I guess we'll go to the next page. Our district goals, and some of you have been working with Lisa in the membership and NAMI area. Well, what we've done is to put for our district goals and work plans, what we've done is just put that all together in one place. And that's what shows here is 4 areas: membership, service, leadership, and LCIF. There are 3 goal areas. I am responsible as the incoming district governor to submit to LCI the goals and work plans for the upcoming year. And so what we're working at in different work groups right now are work plans for each of these areas. So let's start with membership, and we'll kind of take a quick look at where we are with membership at the current time. What Lisa's work group has decided is that there will be kind of 4 goal areas that we'll work at. And the first one is that we'll charter 2 new Lions clubs in the coming year. And this takes me back to the discussion that we had with Mike a little while ago. Well, the first thing we've got to do is to decide where these 2 new Lions clubs are going to be. And in this work plan, zone chairs come up at different places. I mean, you'll see work zone chairs come up under this goal, charter 2 Lions clubs, and you're going to see zone chairs come up at different places to follow too. But this says survey zone chairs and key Lion leaders, Mike, regarding location, potential sponsors, and possible need for a guiding lion. So I think what's going to happen, this work plan hasn't been spelled out yet, but I think we will get from you and from key Lion leaders where we should start. Where should these 2 new Lions clubs show up? One might be, Mike, right in the New Cumberland area where we use that area to find new Lions. It would give a home to some of the people that were in the New Cumberland Club if one of the places was there. But we'd have to, I think what that would need anyway is to find some new Lion leaders to make that. If we were going to reassemble something there, we need to find some new Lion leaders who could make that work. And then what I think what has been recommended, at least, is if we're going to start a new club, let's stay with that area yet. We'll stay with New Cumberland as a possibility. Then we ought to find a Lions club in that area that would be a sponsor. I mean, it could be Mechanicsburg, Mike, could be Camp Hill, or it could be somebody else, I guess, that would be a sponsor for that club. And maybe we'd start that as a specialty club with that Lions club, with that sponsoring Lions club. Wouldn't have to be, but it could be started as a specialty club of, say, the Mechanicsburg Lions Club, if we were doing it. So you didn't have to start with 20 members. You could start with a handful in the beginning and grow the club over the course of the year. And maybe before the end of 2022, we could sponsor a full club at that point. But it would be one way to grow it, is to have somebody like the Mechanicsburg Club, for instance, take responsibility for being the sponsor for a club, a specialty club of some club sort that would grow into a full Lions club. So we'll have to select two sites, at least two sites this year for clubs. And then we'd have to have prospective sponsoring clubs to do that. There are other areas, I've heard a couple of other areas mentioned. And once we have this work plan like that laid out, then we'll have to go on and get going with getting in contact with the zone chairs and with others, and identifying a couple of areas that we'll start with. Goal 2 is to have Lion clubs in District C induct at least 100 new members. I don't think that necessarily sounds like a big deal to induct 100 new members. We have 40 plus clubs in District 14C. It shouldn't be a big deal to induct 100 new members. But I mean, that's set out there as a target for us. That is not something we normally do. It's something we'd have to work at to make happen. Well, if that happens, zone chairs would have to be a big deal with that. We'd have to provide zone chairs with some information, brochures, some tools that they could use then to encourage clubs and support them to identify new members and move on. There are tools to do that. That can happen. If people have comments they want to make as I go along, feel free to interrupt me. Don't let me keep going here. But if I don't hear comments, I'll keep moving so that we get done by 8:32 to do this. If we're going to, one of the reasons membership is a big deal is because over the last, I don't know how many years, in this constitutional area, the United States, etc., constitutional area 1, we've not just District 14C, but the constitutional area, we've been losing lions. And so if we're going to get this thing back on track, then we're going to have to approach this from a number of different angles. We could charter, let's say in District 14C, we can charter a couple of new clubs. We can kind of ask our clubs, encourage our clubs, support our clubs to add new members. But the other thing we have to do is to support our clubs in a way that helps them understand the things they might be able to do to make it possible for us in our clubs to lose less members than we've been losing in our clubs. There are some things we can do to make that happen. And one of those things we can do and this is part of our work plan, is to provide zone chairs with the information they need to assist these clubs, but also then to do the orientations that are necessary for these new members. we have been doing through Zoom this past year now, district-wide orientation for new members, so that maybe at least at the level above the club level, maybe this wouldn't be so much a responsibility the clubs would have to do for orientation about what the districts, what happens at the district level and above. That's something we can do through the district. And what we have to do then is to encourage these new members to participate with us so that we can provide that kind of orientation. At the club level, what clubs have to be encouraged to do is to provide orientation at the club level about club policies and practices and what the history is of the club, what the practices are around dues and et cetera. But I think we almost have to, and I don't know if this will wind up in the work plan. I'd like to see it wind up in the work plan, is that it becomes a practice that in every club that we provide a routine orientation at least to the club practices and policies themselves. So, and then we have to provide zone chairs with the tools to support clubs to do that. Dennis,
I just want to comment. I mean, I think the district-wide orientation for new members is great, and club too. I would throw out the possibility also considering that when you do an orientation for new members, it's probably helpful to invite some of the other members to be there, just to bring them up to date with things too. So you have more of an interchange, because I mean, again, I think we've all been parts of organizations and agencies and things like that. And you get the orientation the day one, but if you stay at an agency for 30 years, things change, and sometimes you miss things by not being privy to any type of orientation or ongoing thing. So I think it needs to be district level is helpful, club level is necessary too. But I think sometimes it's helpful to not just focus on inviting just new members, and so opening it up to more people. Just a thought. I don't know. People might think that's kind of out there, but I think it might be helpful.
I don't know what you folks think, but you have to understand, Marty is a teacher. He's been teaching, and boy, Marty, that's a great point. Thank you. Appreciate that. Dennis, do you want to comment on this one? I think this came out of Lisa's work group as well. And the idea, well, let me not comment. Dennis, why don't you talk about this one a little bit?
Well, sure. Real briefly, this taps into what Ray was mentioning a little while back, that they made some assumptions that people in their community knew what the Carlisle Lions Club was all about and what they did, and that wasn't the case so much, or because membership had dwindled and new people coming in, whatever. We need to make sure our communities know that there is a Lions Club in their community and what that Lions Club is doing for their community, and the importance of having a Lions Club in their community. If we can't justify ourselves as a club or as a service club in our community, if nobody would know that we went away, then we really aren't doing our job. So this is kind of a two-pronged thing where we want to help the clubs with ideas and resources to let people know they are there in their community. They are ready and willing to serve their community, and at the same time help the clubs understand that they need to become relevant and make sure that they are a relevant resource in their community. So that's kind of the idea that's going on there. We're going to survey the clubs for the outlets for where we could do that promotion, so we have a better idea and we can share those resources with other areas, and then give you some training too on specific tools that they can use to do that, you know, whether that's using Facebook or community newsletters or the merchandiser or whatever, you know, depending on what it is they want to do. You know, we want to try to help clubs promote themselves. So it's kind of a marketing aspect of this. And, you know, Laura, maybe we'll be coming to you. So you sound like you're a pretty good marketer of and promoter of things. So, you know, if you've got ideas on that, we would love to hear them.
She does, and I'll let her know. She just went and put a little 2-year-old to bed.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell her you volunteered her, Dennis.
That's great. That's great.
All right, we're going to talk about service. This is now we're moving on from membership at this point. The 4 previous goals were related to membership. Now we're into service, and we're going to talk about two service goals in this district goals and work plans. The first one is at least 75% of the clubs in District 14C will report services delivered, and the number of services reported will exceed the previous year. I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I would say that we aren't much greater than 50%, not much more than 50% of our clubs in District 14C are reporting services delivered. And what we want to get that up. Our clubs are delivering more services than that, I believe. And what we want to do is have at least 75% of our clubs reporting services delivered in the system, the Learn system, that is easy to use and available through MyLion. So Steve Shipman, Dennis mentioned, is the GST, going to be the GST for the district again next year, and will be responsible in this area for doing this. He is very nimble in the system, and will be able to help clubs with this. And I think one of the things we'll have to do, and it won't take us long to do this, is identify the clubs in the district who are not reporting services delivered, and to survey them and determine why they're not reporting those services. And then we'll figure out how to help them and develop a plan to support them in a way that will help them get to that goal. By the end of the year next year, we want to get to a goal of 75%. So that's the first service goal. The second service goal is our district-wide service projects, and I think it's going to focus on diabetes awareness this year. The goal will be to do some project that will focus on diabetes awareness, and it'll be organized and conducted throughout the district at some point, probably in the spring of 2022. We'd like it to happen in 3 counties. I've talked with Deb.
McKnight, Debbie McKnight.
McKnight, thank you. Oh, God. Old age is hard. Deb McKnight and Ron Bollinger about being co-chairs for this project. Ron has experience with diabetes. He has helped us with some projects, not this past year because of the pandemic, but the 2 previous years. And I asked him if he would help with this, but I don't know what'll turn up. Maybe we can do something, like strides walks in the area. But at any rate, they will come up with a plan and present it to our GAT for discussion and some feedback, and then we'll get on with this. And early in 2021, I mean, after early, when's our first GAT meeting? I think it's in, I don't know if we have it in July or not. Do we, Dennis? Do we
Yeah,
have
we
one?
usually try to meet in July.
July? We'll have a GAT meeting in July, and maybe we can get that on the agenda in July. If not, we'll do it in August. And then get moving forward with this. So those will be our service goals. And I'm working with Steve to get a work plan in place for that. In the area of leadership, I've been the GLT for District 14C for the last 2 years. And I don't know if you know what a GLT does or not, but the GLT is responsible for kind of not so much conducting the trainings as seeing that trainings are organized for our club officers and our zone chairs, so that, we can develop leaders in our areas, develop and support leaders. In our zone chair trainings, that's really what we're doing, is supporting leaders who've already kind of self-identified. And so that's what we're doing tonight. We also say in that goal that the district GLT will report those training events. There's a reporting tool on Learn in the system that allows the GLT to report on these training events, so that when training events are over, before they start up, we put them on the system, and when they're over, we can report on what's happened, how many people attended, and what we did, that kind of stuff. We've appointed a GLT. That's going to be Glenn Burkholder this year for us. He's accepted. We've talked about a work plan with, going forward with this. A preliminary plan will be presented to the GAT for the coming year for what we're going to work at. And we'll get on with trainings for next year as well. I am delighted I don't know how many of you have attended the trainings that preceded this, but Dennis had a wonderful training for presidents, and Carrie had a training for secretaries last week. And I think Marty's on the schedule next week for tail twisters. So we have a real good schedule this year for what we're doing. So we'll try to even do better next year with all of this. Finally, we're at 8:30 and we're gonna finish up with our work plan here, and then I want to take a few minutes and talk about protocols then yet. Kerry has developed a goal that this goal, 85% of our clubs will make donations to LCIF, and total donations will exceed those reported in the previous year by 20%. He already has a work plan developed. I haven't put any of that down here, but that work plan is developed, and we'll go forward with that for the coming year. So,
And Dan, just to clarify, that's PDG Kerry McKnight, who's our LCIF district chairperson, and also this state campaign 100 person.
Kerry has done a fabulous job, not only for the district, but for the state as well. Let me just talk a little bit about protocols and expectations. That sounds a little ominous, I know, but I'll try to alleviate that a little bit when I talk about it. I'm going to set out some protocols and expectations here, many of which we've kind of had in the past as well, but just for clarity purposes, we'll talk about them here. The dress thing, I think, is a little new. I have some feelings that there ought to be some at least a simple dress expectation for zone chairs. Dennis and I are both wearing, I noticed tonight, Dennis has it on as well, this the multiple districts official Lions green and white polo shirt. And some of the zone chairs already own this polo shirt, I know. And I'd like all of the zone chairs to get one of these polo shirts. They are available through the multiple district office or the state office. I think they cost $20-something to get them. You can put your name tags, as I have my name tags on these shirt, and when I wear it, I usually wear Tom's governor's the badge as well, on it when I'm doing it, I think that you can use these for cabinet meetings. You can use them for club visits, for district advisory committee meetings. I think if we do it throughout the district, I think it makes us our presence felt as zone chairs and as cabinet members throughout the district. So I've discovered that these green and white tops go well with gray, blue, white, or khaki slacks. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It goes well with any of them, and depends on the time of the year what you want to wear them with. when you're dressing for state functions, when we have council meetings, our vice district governors wear the green tops with gray slacks in the wintertime and white slacks in the summertime. But I think for zone chair functions, you know, gray or blue slacks work well in the wintertime, and white or khaki or gray or whatever you want to wear, what you're comfortable wearing in the summer would be great. I hope you will be comfortable to do that. I encourage you to do that. Let's talk about club visits, district governor club visits a little bit here. Talked about dress already, so I won't say any more about that, but I'd like to coordinate travel with people. I'm able to travel. I've made it possible for myself to travel. I have a little bit of a disability in that I have a neuropathy. And so I've had to learn to drive with hand controls, but I've done that. I've switched over the past year and gotten pretty comfortable with traveling with hand controls. I had to make that happen. That didn't happen naturally, but there are the tools in place to make that happen. But if I could coordinate travel with people sometimes to get to meetings with zone chairs, I'd love to do that. And set up with you, that would be great if we can do it. As far as how we handle the meetings themselves, I'd say the zone chairs will introduce both the district governor and the vice district governor. I think that's what the district constitution says. And if you have your manuals, I think if you would just put your own bio in your manual so that you have it available when you go to district governor visits, so that the club president can introduce you, that would be great. Yeah, let's go on, Dennis. Thank you. And then let's talk about district governor advisory committee meetings. We talked about the need to schedule at least 3 meetings a year. You can do more than that if you like. I'm glad to hear Teresa talk about Dallastown. I mean, talk about what their zone has done with 4 meetings a year. I think that's great. But if you'll at least schedule 3 meetings, 1 in August, 1 in November, and 1 in February, after the cabinet meetings are scheduled, and we'll get you dates for those quickly. So that you have them and you can plan for them. If you will do that, and this is an assignment I'll give you to do once we get you the cabinet meetings for next year, and I'll get you those within the next week so that you have them. Once you have those the dates for those cabinet meetings, then please try to schedule your meetings for next year soon after those cabinet meetings. If you can go ahead and put that in place, maybe by something like June 11th or 12th. Dennis, would that be enough time if they can have dates for next year?
Yeah, that'd be fine. To put it in in the district directory.
in the district directory. If we can get those dates down, then we can put those dates in the district directory for next year. Then, Dennis already talked about this. I won't spend a lot of time talking about inviting others to attend your in meetings. Dennis also said something about this. You have the challenges and opportunities worksheet in your manuals now that you can use. I would encourage you to use that, or however, whatever you want to use, but that's available to you to encourage clubs to prepare for your meetings. They can, if they use the challenge and opportunities worksheet, they can bring some things along, or maybe they can send them to you ahead of time so that you have some time to think about it ahead of the meetings. Challenges and opportunities that the clubs have that they'd like to talk about at the meeting. So it's just a way for clubs to prepare for the meeting so that they don't come and just sit there, but they've really thought about the meetings ahead of time. And then the report is also available in your manual. Many of you have used it already to report on your advisory committee meetings. But the new wrinkle I'd add for you is under number 5 on that report form. Share your thought about clubs in need of support that we can think about at the district for how we could help you support those clubs. Identify the clubs for us that need support. And then we can think with you about how and what kind of support those clubs get and need. This isn't a report card. It's something we do to help clubs that need support so that we don't wind up with more New Cumberlands in the district. That brings us to the manual, and we'll just talk about that very briefly. I know we're now over time, but some sections of the manual will have to be updated. Some of you new folks may not have seen manuals yet, but most of you have, I think, if you don't have your manuals already, you've seen them. So some sections will have to be updated and modified in the calendars. One of those calendar will have to be replaced, and we'll start over. Once we have the district directory done, we'll put out new calendars for you, so that you have those and you can replace the calendars you have there now. Some place bios will have to be updated. Marty doesn't have a bio in there. Marty, you'll have to work at one for us, so that we can put it in the manual that zone chairs use, so that you can be introduced at meetings you go to. And we'll put it right in the manual. And then the goals and action plans that were Tom's and are in your manual now will be replaced with the goals and action plans that we're currently working on, and we'll get you new ones. Let Galen know if there's new information. I don't know. This would be a place if you want to make some quick comments. if there are goals, if there are things that need to be replaced, you can let Galen know what that information is. But are there any comments you'd like to make at any of you that have used the manuals to date? Todd or anybody out there that has used the manual, Teresa, anybody, any comments you'd like to make about the manual at this point, or things that would make it better? No one?
It's very complete.
Is that, who was that, Todd?
Yeah. And again, I think even some of the things Dennis has talked about, through the resources, you'll find some of those things in the manual already. So, saves you a little bit of time instead of going to the internet all the time. But
Yeah, and I would say to you, you have to look at it both ways. The manual, it's right there for you. I use mine. I have it laying on the bed here behind me. But it's something that I use as a reference quickly to use. But the advantage of the what's online and what Dennis is going to make available to you is you hit a link and you can go to those live links and get to other things quickly. You can't do that through the manual that you have in your hand. They're both different kinds of resources, but we made the manual available to you because that can be a reference that you can have with you to use. So that's your manual. If there are things we can do to improve this, let us know, and we'll. The last section, that's the last thing I want to talk about. The last section of the manual was intended to be used, and I don't know if anybody's used it this way, but we left it there as a section that you can put things in that for your clubs, if you wanted to put resources, whether it's phone lists or calendars that they have. I know Carlisle produces a little brochure of its own that has its own phone lists in and that kind of thing. That would be a place to, you could put it right in your manual and have it with you when you go to clubs. So that was the last section of the manual was designed that way, that you'd have it available to you. So Dennis, with that, I'll turn it back to you quickly and you can end this at this point. So.
All right. Well, Dan did have his contact information in there. Of course, that'll all be in the directory. You've got all kinds of people who will help you out in any way you can. And again, all of the address information is in the directory, the new directory, which you will get probably either maybe the July GAT. That might be incentive to come to that, but at the latest at the cabinet meeting in August. We're going to do our best to, especially for the new zone chairs, to schedule some follow-up meetings here for the other in-depth training. It goes into some more detail that we did last year. But for new, that's going to be geared mostly for the new zone chairs. And then another thought Dan and I had was that perhaps prior to each of the zone advisory meetings, maybe like right before the cabinet meeting or something like that, we schedule a Zoom meeting with just the zone chairs to help all of you plan together the your advisory meeting and things to talk about and you know, so you don't forget about things for your agenda and you're not out there by yourself, but together it could work on what your zone advisory meeting would look like. Each of you has different things going on, but some common things to include on your agenda. It might be helpful to have even just a half an hour to an hour Zoom meeting to do that. So if you think that would be helpful, we can talk about that maybe at GAT and putting that together. So we want to provide you with as much support as we can and actually do a better job of supporting you. All right, so cabinet meetings, GAT meetings, those dates will be in there. And you know, those are going to be time for lots of more question answering or asking questions and getting discussion. So I think we've gotten through, I hope we've gotten through our objectives. I know we've addressed all those things. How effectively will remain to be seen, but we really appreciate you hanging in there for an extra, oh my gosh, 25 minutes now. We're just too long-winded, Dan. I'm sorry about that.
Both of us are. Both
This
of us.
was great. Enjoyed it.
That's good.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. All right, and I'm hoping that the recording has worked. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, let's hope so. But yeah, it says it's recording up there, so that's good. All right. So, any final thoughts or comments or questions? We can.
If I may just say, I want to thank being cabinet secretary and recording the minutes at the GAT meetings. I want to give thanks to the zone chairs who often would send me a copy of the reports or the information they were giving. And I think that's, you know, a valid concept because again, trying to take notes and things like that, it's so much easier to just go from something that you give me because then I'm not going to get it. The secretary's not going to get it wrong. The information's there. It's clear. And it's, you know, it's the best way to communicate rather than, you know, accounting for an old guy like me trying to say, you know, write down everything you said. So just a suggestion that maybe within the manual or there could be some discussion for zone chairs about, you know, formats for certain reports so that we have some standard way of doing that, which will probably make it easier for everybody. And again, I mean, I haven't really had a problem. You know, many of you have given me reports, which has been very, very helpful, but maybe we can formalize that a little bit. Again, everybody's style is a little bit different, but maybe some format might give some guidance to that. That's the last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to mute myself and really be quiet.
Yeah. You'll have his chance next week with the tail twisters, and you know anything you can do to promote that. That's going to be a fun session and one we haven't done before. So a little bit of breaking. Well, we haven't done recently. We did at a cabinet meeting a few years ago. So, Doug, any parting shots? Did you learn anything new today or anything different?
There's a few new procedures, but I think we always did the reporting we discussed. I think we always gave minutes for after our zone meetings and send them in to the vice district governors and district governor. So just interested to any district or any zone projects, how will they be considered under service? I know you're looking for clubs to do service and the district to do service. A lot of times we have a zone project. How would we put that in there? Is all the clubs participating in it, or how would we go forward with that?
I think the main way to report that service is each club kind of reporting what their level of involvement was with it. So, you know, say your clubs go together and do a cleanup project or whatever, they can each enter that and just the number of hours that their members put in to that. Or you folks did the fundraiser for the Gokenauer family. And that was kind of a joint effort. So each club could enter the amount of funds that they raised and contributed towards that. I don't know, and I would have to investigate, Doug, whether or not the zone itself can report projects. It used to be that the district could report its own service as a District 14C project, but I'm not sure if we can still do that. And I don't recall seeing anything at the zone level to report it as a unit just by the zone.
I would, Dennis,
Something we don't want to miss with a lot of the zones doing zone projects. So I think we need to find some way to be able to put that in as service projects somehow.
Dennis, I would just add to that, Jet. Galen Burkholder at I think it was at the last RLLI session, was there with Tom Gregg, and he talked about in Zone 2A, they do projects to help people. A lot of times they're projects that serve people with some kind of a special need, often involving a disability of some kind. And the zones go together in doing services, doing raising funds and whatever, to do that. And Tom Gregg came back the next day after Galen did a presentation on that, and he made a recommendation about how they would report that as a zone. And it kind of was like Dennis described it, in a way that the clubs, in regard to the funds they raised and that kind of thing, would report it at the club level, to be able to do that. And at the district level, they could report on the, what do I want to say? I don't want to stretch this out. He had a presentation for what could be reported at the district level then for that project. So I think we maybe have, based on Galen's, what Tom and Galen came up with, I think we might have something that will help with that. So we'll get back to that then.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all. Good to see everybody, and look forward to working with all of you in the upcoming year.
Thank
Hopefully
you,
we'll see
Dennis.
everybody in person.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks,
Good
everyone.
evening, everybody.
Nice to see you. Nice